episode of Trans Talks. Today we have wonderful Rudrani with us. Jamal will introduce Rudrani to you. Jamal.
Rudrani ma'am is a 42-year-old transgender person brought up in New Delhi. She is a founder member of first community-based organization in Delhi called Mitr Trust that works with the issues of men who have sex with men and transgender and hijras. She is a founder of India's first modeling agency, Bold. She is also an actor and model, and she has worked for more than 20 years for human rights, health and sexuality, gender and HIV field. I hope I got that right.
Thank you, Jamal.
Uh, so, ma'am, can you just tell us something about yourself and what are the work you're doing for transgender community?
Okay, as you introduced me, my name is Rudrani and I'm from New Delhi. So I work with this organization called Mitr Trust. We are a Delhi-based organization. As Jamal said, we started in year 2005, and since then, uh, I think what we have been working is not exactly what I planned. It's I'm sorry, this is going to happen for a couple of time because I do have two pets. So it's not something, in all these years I have planned something. It is always community who, you know, uh, come up with different issues and they plan that what they require for themselves. So mostly, but as in project, we have been doing most of our work around health, which is HIV, because a lot of trans community and a lot of people from the MSM umbrella under, self-identifying coaches and different people are into sex work for a reason that they don't have any job, they have no education. So sometimes it's not a choice, though I do respect sex work, willingly do this, I'm absolutely fine. But somebody who is just, into this job because this person do not have any other option. Uh, so we work with those people because we also need to protect them. We need to protect them from, all kind of infections. So yes, this is what we have been doing. And very recently we started a shelter home. It's not that there wasn't a shelter for people earlier. Of course, during the crisis, intimate partner violence and violence from the parents, and a lot of other issues where a community used to come to us and seek shelter. Now, this present program is the ministry funded. It has been funded by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment and National Institute of Social Defense. So, in this program, we do have a shelter for 25 transgender people, and beside that, few basic things whenever I think it is important. I think advocacy and I believe the larger community, not only, let's not only talk about the LGBTQ community, but the community in general is not at all sensitized about or not at all aware about, what's happening around LGBT, and they have no education about the community. So I think uh, to talk about this, to educate about this, and to share information about this has been part of all our work in different workplaces, maybe offices, MC, doctors, hospital. Yeah, in brief.
That's that's really great, and yeah, I do understand. Sometimes it's though we respect sex work. It's sometimes in cases like ours, it's the only choice. Though we make the choice, that's the only choice available to us, and that's somewhere sad. And uh, so I want to ask you about the concept of shelter home right now, your new project. So
Mhm.
this concept of shelter home for a lot of transgender people in India is something new. And what is this concept? When can someone come to emergency shelter home like yours? Or what is Garima Greh?
Okay. I think the concept of shelter, exactly, if I understand, uh, for trans women, there has been I when I see history and I see past, I believe there was some kind of structure where trans women can go and do something with their life with a very limited option. We may call it dayar, deras, and other places. But when I think of trans men, I think uh, my experience of working with trans men for this uh, last 2 years, it's really, it's an eye opener for me because I've seen the kind of atrocities and abuse, all of it they go through. It's kind of, you know, it's I can't even imagine of. Because sometimes I feel being a trans woman, we do have this privilege of patriarchy because our parents, at some point of time do believe this whatever hell. I mean, he's a boy, let him go out of house and do whatever. And also, though life is difficult, but in comparison of trans men, I think it is difficult. And so, especially when I speak of these shelter home, which is by the ministry, I think though there is a existing structure for trans women, I think these shelter homes have really helped trans men. They now when they step out of their house, do understand and do know there is a place where I can go and I'll be protected and I'll be safe and I can do what I want with my life. So I think this is kind of a great thing which I think which has come out of the shelter home. And another thing is of course there are guidelines given by the ministry where a few basic things are like you have to be 18 and there is a age gap of 18 to 60 of for the trans people still. But this worries me about somebody who's A60 plus,
Mm.
because it's not possible that we as a trans community or in a journal, if we only get to see younger trans people, it doesn't mean the older one do not exist. They are very much there, but and I think they are in their worst condition because once you age with all those surgeries and everything and the poor health condition, your life becomes terrible. So the tempo 9. So first thing, age your and another thing that you have to carry some kind of a legal document, or you can give your declaration that you identify yourself as a trans. Even if you don't have any documentation, then we can process it, to help this person to get it. Another, that you should not be into any kind of a job. So the whole idea and understanding is if you are in any profession where you can make money, you can take care of yourself. I mean, it is manageable. So as beds are very less, it's 25 is not a very big number. So I think it is to prioritize those people who are in most need. So these are few things: age and you have to carry your some document and self declaration kind of a thing. And another, you should not be into any profession. And then whenever you take admission, you have to stay at least for 3 months. That's the minimum duration they have given, but sometimes it doesn't work this way, and maximum you can live there for 1 year. Yeah.
And what kind of crisis situations do people usually come to you in?
So I see that a two type of crisis problem or a situation, where sometimes a community who they come with a lot of baggage with them, where they have been, they have these memories, ugly memories of what has happened to them. So it triggers some time and they become violent and they, it is difficult to understand what has happened to them. So it is one particular those crises because handling someone who actually came out from extreme form of violence, which sometimes I believe some of us from a trans community or LGBT community are much privileged because at some point of time our parents or there was some kind of enabling environment, so we did not go through so many shitty things. But all these people who come here, I have seen, I do get time and I talk to them. They have shared, horrific, I mean, kind of you know, stories with
Yeah.
us. So that is one thing. And another, beside this internal, I think there are a lot of problem when you want to, first of all, we kind of struggle like anything to get this shelter home, because uh, whenever we used to go to someone, asking for this place, so we can rent the shelter home, everything used to get finalized. Then they used to ask, like, we initially we used to say, like, kids will say, no, bachas will stay here. Then they ask, like, who, what, and a bit more detail. And whenever we used to say transgender, they never understood. And when we said kinnar, hijras, and other trans men, then nobody gave us, and it was a big challenge for us. So in general, what I'm trying to say, society is still, you know there is an extreme level of hatred and transphobia for community, and as well where we are right now, though it's not a very, transphobic place, but of course, because it's a shelter home which is for trans people, I think sometimes people do make ugly faces, but it's okay. We are trying to, sensitize them in our best capacity, and we try to, work with our surrounding, whosoever are. But when it comes to those people who are supposed to be a service provider, in the sense of, especially when somebody needs some kind of a legal support or some kind of a situation where, these departments should be helping, I think there is no help, and there is, first of all, there is no understanding. Police people, I think they have no understanding, no clue. They have only one, they only they can think of a transgender in one way, that there are, uh, this trans feminine community who are into begging, who are into sex work,
Mm.
and who are into more, majorly and mostly into criminal kind of activity. And so in this situation, whenever we go to, ask for any help, or, you know or if for example a parent of a trans man, take help of a police, so they come and they all kind of a stupid thing. They call, people from their dead name. They use all kind of pronoun which makes them
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and they also try to, you know convince or tell people that, what you are doing is wrong, and different thing. And just because one case which I really wanted to talk, but it is sub judice right now.
Mm.
There will be a hearing, so I won't be able to discuss much about it. But the whole thing is, uh, I think they don't have understanding, and whereas because it is much needed, because, there will be more shelter homes which will be opening in different state. If same kind of situation will be there, I think instead of uh, spending your time and making something best out of it, I think most people who come to the shelter will be, in this thing only. I mean, to fighting from the parents and not getting legal support and not getting any police support. I think these these all are challenges for us. So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it's difficult to run a shelter home as such as this in India, because everyone in India wants to do Samaj Kalyan of trans people, but not in my backyard, NIMBY. कहीं और करो मेरे पिछवाड़े में नहीं. So I can
Mm,
imagine how difficult it is to find a home, or even to exist in a society that doesn't want
mm.
us, actually. Mm, so, how many of these Garima Grahs are in India currently?
Presently, I think there is 12. They started with 12. I may be wrong with my information. I mean, they started with 12. Now I think there is 11. Something happened. Something happened with it. But there will be more Garima Grace. I don't know how many numbers, because recently there was, call for expression of interest, and a lot of people from different state where the Garima Grace are not there. I mean, I think ministry is planning to have there.
Okay. And are all the Garima Grehs providing emergency shelter?
Uh, Emergency shelter, as in, we have not faced such situation till now. But I think if you mean by emergency shelter, will be a short duration shelter, lesser than, 3 months for a day, two, or during the time of crisis. I think we don't have such provision. But as an organization, we try to take care of it, those situations. But yes, for this short duration, I think these kind of uh, you know sh time, I think shelter is much needed, because community usually do not have anyone to go back, especially family, parent, or sometimes other people from trans community are not able to help because of their own situation. So I think it is required, but it's not there. I mean, you have to be there for like at least 3 months and plus. It's not
Oh,
that something has happened to you and you come and you go.
okay. And this concept of shelter home, so is it how much time does it take for someone to reach out to you and get an admission in the
So
shelter?
most of the time, see, you do understand, I mean, community, there is a very, you know, strong this community network. So most of the time, it's word of mouth and sharing from community members to community. But and beside that, my number is there on uh, Garima Greh website, I mean, ministry's website. So a lot of people have reached me directly. They call me, and especially they talk about their situation and how they want to get out of there, and then we assist them, ensuring that all the confidentiality is maintained until unless, because a lot of time there is a threat situation. So yes, we do that this way, and sometimes they
Okay.
reach themselves. Yeah.
Okay. So you said more people have applied to start Garima Greh. So can anyone start a Garima Greh like that?
You mean more what I'm talking about? The more Garima Grehs are going to open
Yeah.
in different states.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so the ministry, did this call for application from the different NGOs, especially
Mhm.
from the community-based organization who all are interested, and I think a lot of them have applied where these Garima Greh is not there. So I mean, I think it is going to happen soon. It's not all the state, but few states, I believe, yes. You, especially like UP, of I know there will be one in UP very soon.
Okay, that's great. And what is your current capacity for your house?
25. It's for everyone. It is 25.
Okay. And do you know any such shelter homes or any such places which could provide shelter for minors in India?
I don't think so. I think it is still taken care by Child Welfare Department. So it's not with us, because most of the time even we are helpless. It's not that we have. I'll be very honest with that. We have, at least as far as I can remember, I've got twice a call, a different situation where this person was minor, but
Mhm.
we were not able to help because we cannot work with anybody who's under 18.
Yeah, I can imagine it is. Yeah, even at Transgender India, when we receive a lot of mails from minors, but somehow we do not know how to deal with it because even one message can destroy everything, that we send. That हमारे बच्चे को किन्नर बना रहे हैं and all that. So
Hmm.
yeah,
नहीं, I mean
so
यही होता है कि
yeah.
most of the time when parents come, they they come with this thing कि मेरा बच्चा तो ऐसा नहीं था, और
Mhm.
अपने उसको किसी दोस्त ने ऐसा बना दिया, भड़का दिया, ड्रग दिला दिया, अब वो यहाँ आया तो वो भी ऐसे ही बन जाएगा. तो एंड क्योंकि सी मैंने जो पहले बोला, it's not about one particular department or one particular structure or one particular person or group of people responsible. I think it is in whole, the whole situation and understanding is very negative about transgender community. आप वो किसी भी चीज में उठा के देख लो, even for language, when people use these uh, words as a derogatory,
Yeah.
फिल्म में देख लो, आप इन जनरल देख लो, कहीं पे भी देख लो, तो आई थिंक दिस इज अ प्रॉब्लम. सो व्हेन पेरेंट्स कम, दे डू हैव दिस आइडिया, एंड ऑल्सो अगर जो उनको नहीं भी होगा ना, इट विल बी गिवन बाय ऑल दी रिलेटिव्स एंड ऑल दी सो कॉल्ड कंसर्न पीपल ऑफ देम. तो वो ऐसे ही आते हैं, फिर वो भी डरे हुए हैं. मैं एक तरीके से ये भी सोचती हूँ, सी गलती पूरी तरीके से पेरेंट्स की भी नहीं है. पेरेंट्स की
Yeah.
इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि दिस इज हाउ दे वर कंडीशन एंड दिस इज हाउ देयर पेरेंट्स वर कंडीशन. सो आई थिंक वी नीड टू ब्रेक दिस चेन. I think we need to break this chain where when you are of a young age, you get to learn about everything, and especially about the gender and other transgender, other communities, may it be transgender or a gay person or so, so whenever they grow up, they don't become transphobic or homophobic. So
Yeah.
they may become a police officer, IS officer, or whosoever, or doctor, whosoever become. But if they do understand who are trans people, this person will be never transphobic then.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I also think, what is that makes our older generation, or the generation, even current generation, so transphobic? Because sometimes people who have not even gone to schools, it's not that they've learned this from schools, they are also
Mm.
transphobic. People who have
Yeah.
gone to schools are transphobic. People who are super educated are transphobic. So it's like, God knows what.
Yeah.
I think it's just the culture of this patriarchy where masculinity is revered and femininity, anything that is to do with feminine, is.
No, patriarchy. See, I think a lot of time, I think a lot of even people who call them feminist are also, you know, transphobic. And
Yeah.
I personally believe anyone who says is a feminist and do not believe on for transgender rights, it's not feminist. Then there is problem with you. You have to learn. You have
Yeah.
to unlearn what you have learned, and you have to learn again, because it cannot go together if you're a feminist and at the same time you're a transphobic person. So yeah, I think sometimes a lot of situations are such where we have come across those situations where people say we are in your support, then they end up doing something nonsense which is not even hurtful but which damages a lot of things.
Yeah, I see in India a lot of support that people talk about is very hollow support. Like sometimes, yeah, it's so hollow. Like it's about changing a pronoun in a form, but
Yeah.
sometimes people do not have access to enter that office to see that form. You know, people like us do not have access to enter that office. Form to baad mein aayega na.
Mm.
So yeah.
It's same with the jobs, and it's same with the education, and it's same with if one particular organization is doing, I mean, if they are letting in, it doesn't mean every other organization of you know of the same resource and same capacity is doing so. It's not. एक दो एक चीजें करके एग्जाम्पल सेट करके हमको लगता है कि अगर एक स्कूल ने मतलब एडमिशन दे दिया और एक स्कूल ने कुछ ऐसा कर लिया, तो वो ऐसा हम लोग बात करते हैं कि जैसे सारे स्कूल ने कर दिया. मैं
Yeah.
I mean, I have also come across a lot of people who share, their horrific stories of what they have gone through in their school because, they identified themselves as a transgender person and they were very visible, though they did not go through transition, but they were visible one. They have been badly abused by, their colleagues, seniors, and as well as teachers.
Yeah.
तो एक स्कूल में आप एडमिशन दे रहे हो और मतलब हजार स्कूल में आपका मतलब सेक्सुअल अब्यूज हो रहा है, तो इट डजंट मेक सेंस ना.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I hope things change soon. And I can imagine that running something like Garima Greh, especially in India, where parents and uh, caretakers are so thinking that you are changing their child, you are the reason their child is like that, I mean trans. So what kind of security measures do you take to ensure your safety and also probably safety of your inmates?
Okay, as for infrastructures, like we do have CCTV cameras, and we have a very secure building. At the same time, we do have a security guard, and they are like 24 into 7. I mean, they have their rotating shift, and we do have a lot of other things which we are doing to ensure that community, I mean, people who come there are safe. So, like, we do have a register. We want to ensure that anybody who's going out do, make a record of it so that we are aware if this person not return in, set time, that we can go and look for this person. And beside that, we do have our own timetable that after 7 we do, kind of close the gates, and then if anybody comes without my permission, this person, I mean, they are not allowed to enter the shelter home, and even the resident of shelter home, until unless there is emergency, medical emergency, or any other emergency, they are not allowed to leave till it is morning. There is a sunrise. So yeah, I mean, these basic things we are trying to take care, and sometimes when there is a situation when somebody comes, without without any information to their parents. So we try to tell them if there is a difficult situation where this person feel threatened, then we ask them not to use cell phone, and for some time, until unless that something ugly is not happening. So all these kind of even talking to them and telling what you can do to keep yourself safe. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you, because you're doing this, you're running the care home, do you anytime feel threat to your personal safety, and how do you deal with it?
Yes, I mean, I'm a human being and I do have all the emotion.
Mm.
So I do also feel sometimes, intimidated, and sometimes, little low, because, you know, though we do have we are recognized as a third gender in this country, we do have, we do have rule for transgenders. So even then, I think people are extremely transphobic, and especially when it comes to situation like this, where I've given entry to anyone whose parent are not happy with it, and most of the time I've found these people are very influential and in a very influential position and hold some kind of powers, then of course you feel threatened. You never know what can happen to you, just because sometimes people go crazy. They can do anything. I've I've received call in middle of the night saying, and first this person was very harsh and rude. Uh, and I spoke to him that this is a government project and you should read about it, right? Then he try and convince me and kind of bribe me with some
Mm.
good amount, saying that if you can do this for me, I mean, this is what we can do for you, and nobody will come to know. But I mean, see, that is what. Beside threat, also, there are other things which, if somebody is not responsible and somebody do not understand what can happen because of this, I think then it is a bad situation.
Yeah. And do you think that when a parent goes to a, a when a parent goes to the extent of harming their children just to stop them from transitioning, do you think
Hmm.
that comes from a place of love, or it is completely a different trajectory in their head that's going
It's
on?
a mix of both. It's a mix of both. It's a mix of both that you do have an understanding. Of course, first of all, is that we do have a very strong gender binary where people do not want anything else beside than what they have been believing and what they think is a man should be doing or a woman should be doing, and man and woman is defined by what do you have between your legs.
Yeah.
See, this is how it works. Whenever somebody is born in our country, and I believe most of the South Asian countries, and I don't know whether globally also, whenever the child is born, nobody wants to ask whether the child is healthy. The first thing you want to know is like whether this one is boy or a girl.
Yeah.
So this is the tragedy of ours, and on top of it, I think a lot of things are decided when you're born very first day, that what you will eat, what you'll study, what you'll wear, what you'll become, whom you'll get married to, and if so yeah. And when this thing doesn't happen, I think a lot of people get upset because uh, it is so general. And just let's try and understand, when we plan something and doesn't work the same way, it it makes us upset. But people need to understand, this is a life of someone. It is not something you're cooking and you're inviting someone over for dinner. It's study someone's life, and you don't know how this it will evolve, and how this person will go and identify. We should not be sure about it. I mean, we have been teaching so many shit about how to be male and how to be a female. I mean, the idea of patriarchy is still how to be a man. If you're a female, somebody who's cis woman slaps you. In a trans woman case, it is going to be worse than how you have to respond to it. So all these learnings are there, and when people see that children are not you know growing as they are expecting, I think they get upset. And secondly, they do have understanding that how how they are transitioning and what they want to be is are people who are not good. So it's mix of both, not going things according to us, and at the same time, what they want to be is are people who are criminal. Because this is after British, I think. Though we have a very deep-rooted history where if we learn about trans people and read about transgender people, especially feminine, they were seen as goddesses, and we do have stories of Aravan. Then we do have this whole beliefs, stories about transgender people being advisors of kings and emperors, and all being in good position. After British, I think a lot of us started believing the same way how British used to see us, because they were not
Mhm.
able to understand the diversity, the kind of diversity we were having. So a lot of us, I still say even today that a lot of us are not Indians, we are British. When they are so obsessed about whitening products to become fair, when they are very you know uh, transphobic. I think a lot of things we have learned from others, and it's going the same way.
Yeah. Now, coming back to the Garima Greh, I have some quick questions so that we just sum it up for our viewers. So, so there are questions like, do you have internet in Garima Greh?
Yes, we do have internet, and because we do have a big classroom. It's a big hall. It's a big building actually. So we do at the first floor we do have this big floor where it is a their skill and their education thing happens there. So it's more of a recreational TV room, their dining space, and their whenever there is an event they do there. And so there is a Wi-Fi connection. So whenever people they want to do their classes. Most classes are virtual even now because of this monkeypox and this COVID thing.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have that, and above that floor, it's on second floor. We do have room for trans women, a big hall with beds. and on top of it, we have a floor for the trans men, and above it we do have kitchen. Yeah.
So it's a mixed shelter for trans men and trans women, both.
Yes, 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 yes. It's but because most see, earlier because of fund crisis, because kind of fund we have for the shelter home, it's not sufficient. So we plan to have one hall where all these can live. But unfortunately, I mean, they did not want it to be in one room, so we had to we uh, we have this new place. So yeah, but now I think they all are happy because they have their own private space. Because trans men have their own things and own issues, and they have their own
Yeah.
gym equipment, and they do their thing, and that is how trans women are also doing.
Yeah, nice. And what kind of skill development or studies that's done? I mean, do you
So
provide?
mostly who come, we have noticed that they don't even have the basic primary education. A lot of are drop out very early. So,
Mhm.
and whatever they've learned, they don't use it because they have not practiced it. So now, especially, I think whenever we try to place someone for a job, I think the first two things are required is English, and another is whether they do have computer literacy. So we have these two classes for sure, which is English reading, writing,
Mhm.
speaking classes. Another is your computer literacy, where we start with the basic, and then we go to advanced thing, and then we are setting up a beauty parlor course uh, where only those who are interested uh, are going to be part of it, because we have found that trans men are not you know keen to
Mhm.
be in this thing, so it's mostly for trans women. But we have another skill development program, which is they make article from this bamboo
Yeah,
thing.
it's awesome.
Okay, so they do this, and they also have this potpourri project where they use dry flowers to, make potpourri, and of course they have their candle making classes. I mean, they do, but we have we have stopped it. We are not continuing it because the resources, because to melt this wax, we require a lot of fuel and this gas, which
Yeah.
is very very expensive. So I said hold for some time till I have some money.
Okay. Can I bring my pets to Garima Greh?
Yes, it's a pet friendly place. It's a very safe place. But we do have visiting hours.
Okay.
if
No,
you
as a
if you're
resident,
not
I'm talking about as an
as
inmate.
oh, of course, of course, this person have to identify themselves as trans person.
Ah, okay. So the pet also has to be gender neutral?
I don't know, but we have not, experienced this. But I think in future, if somebody wants to come walk in with their pet, I think I don't have an issue. I think we can take care of it.
Yeah, I see a pet behind you, so I can imagine that you would not have any issues.
No, no, they're my daughters, my love of life.
Can a person cook their own food in Garima Greh?
Yes, they can cook, but we do have some timings, and usually we do not, encourage them to do so because there are 25 people, and most of the time, trust me on this one. Sometimes it gets so messy. They're fighting, in middle of the night, and somebody has taken someone's stuff, and somebody is not allowing them to make Maggie and boil eggs. So, and also because of this they miss their classes.
Yeah.
And we try to keep them engaged since from morning till evening, so that they can they don't don't create any nuisance, and they sleep well, because it's a to be very honest, I share one thing, my personal thing. I always wanted, when I was very young, I thought of getting married to rich man, and I'll have this big house, a lot of jewelries, and I'll adopt two kids. I mean, two children, one, So now I have changed my plan. Though, I mean, forget about the partner and the big house, those things. Let's forget. But the children part, I think I do not want to, adopt anymore. I'm so fed up now. But it's kind of fun. Sometimes I really get pissed off and very upset. But I think this is fun, and I do understand how why they're behaving like this, because they're getting this love and they're getting this confidence to speak for themselves, and they have also come from a very disturbing situation. So let them. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there any cost involved in living in Garima Greh?
No, there is no cost living, whoever who live there. uh, we try to provide everything, though most of the things, are covered, like food and rent for the space, which is not enough, but we do contribute. Besides that, the basic needs are there. Sometimes a lot of people come who were on their HRT,
Mm.
and just because this person has come in and have no income to do that, so we try to support. And and sometime when there is no money with me or with the organization, then we cannot. But there can be a lot of things. People get sick, people do have their different needs. There can be somebody with other infection which this person cannot talk about, and this person needs additional nutrition, additional care. So those things are there, and we have to take care of all of it. And wherever there is festival, so which is they start this drama a week before, that we need this, we need that, we need sweets, we need flowers, and yeah. So
Okay. And I also know that you have about Bold, which is first transgender modeling agency.
mhm.
How did you come up with the idea, and what was your experience with that?
Um, Again, I mean, my plan is not something which my life is not something which I have planned. I think it's been a roller coaster ride, and I've bumped in a different situation which made me do a lot of things which I never thought of, especially this, you know, organization where I'm part of it, Mitr. Even
Yeah.
Mitr happened just because, somebody said that you're not welcome in our organization. Being a, organization who were working for LGBT rights, they were very
Mm.
uncomfortable because I was very effeminate. So I thought, why not our organization where people or where people are not discriminated. And Bold also happened because of the same reason, because I was not allowed to enter a shopping mall, saying that there is nothing available for people like you. आप जैसे लोगों के लिए कुछ नहीं मिलता. This made me very upset, and I was standing right outside there, try and convince this person, saying, nice thing, let me go in. I just want to do this and that, but they did not let me go in. And this is where I was thinking, if mall is all about this fancy makeup, fancy brand clothes, makeup, perfume, and also nice eating places, and if you don't think we are worth going in, then I thought, like, let's do something which will make us be inside that mall. May it be a big poster of ours as a model, or people working in different different shop as a transperson salesperson. So I think the whole idea was, we cannot you know because we do have this traditional ideas and ways of doing it, okay. See, I think we need to change it. We need to go in all different direction. We cannot keep doing it through NGO and going to some one particular institute for one day. I think we have to penetrate into all forms of industry and all different of spaces where we can talk about uh, our rights, and we can show our visibility. And I also found that, according to me, I think this fashion thing, this media thing, this film, I think this is one where a lot of people, I think majority of people in India consume their education and information from these things. So why not let, make these our platform to do it? Because a lot of people only don't read, don't read, they don't see anything, they just watch television. If we are there on screen, being as an artist, as a, as actor, model, or anyone, then I think people will get sensitized, because for a very long time it's been only ugly picture of us. Whenever we can, I think if we ask somebody, a layman person, what you think of a transgender person, first of all, this person will not understand transgender. Then we'll have to say, okay, kinner, hijra, and all that. Then they can imagine of only those. I mean, this situation where somebody, you know, somebody very masculine looking
Mm.
begging a traffic signal, and
Mm.
somebody who is very feminine, or doing sex work. People do have very stereotypical, understanding and idea about trans community. So let's break it. Let's break it. Trans people are beautiful, and I do know this, that especially trans women spend so much of time, energy, money, you know to look feminine, to be who they want to be. So why not flaunt it, and why don't use it?
Yeah. And why do you think we still do not? Yeah, we do have Anjali Lama and Sandra, but it's still quite difficult for transgender people to make it into the mainstream of modeling. We are just one or two exceptions here and there. What are the kind of mm, gatekeeping that we have for trans people in such industries, modeling?
I think, first of all, this. See, I've been also struggling with the same question. A lot of people, it's not that the fashion designers and a lot of brands do not want to work with transgender community. They do work with them, but only during Pride months.
Hmm.
So I find it very difficult to say whether they are trans friendly or whether they are transphobic, and also maybe not everybody, fits into what they are actually looking for. I think what Sandra and what Anjali is doing is amazing, and uh, it also gives some kind of visibility to a lot of people who want to understand who trans people are. But not everybody do not, everyone is getting opportunity.
Yeah.
I think, but in coming times, who knows?
Yeah. So you've also worked in movies. So I have a question. Bollywood has not really hired a trans person for a serious role, be it Kubra Sheth from Sacred Games or Razia played by Vijay Raj, which is a fictional character, by the way, because they put it in a Gangubai, which is like a apparently a real story, and they make a fictional villain who is trans. So
Mhm.
there's no Razia in real Gangubai's life. It's just to villainize and give that villain a really, really villainous look. So they use a trans person here. So, but directors often say that they do not find the right talent in the trans community. Do you
Mhm.
think it's true, or do you feel that they're waiting for a version of gentrified trans person to hire, like from a certain skin color, certain caste, or certain etc. etc.?
I think they don't understand transgender person at all. First of all, I've very recently offered a role, and the character is of a trans man, and I try to tell them that I do not fit for a trans man character. Then this person will, no, no, our casting director said we should give opportunity to everyone. I said, I'm telling you I'm a trans woman. No, no, you are transgender. And I said, yes, I'm a transgender. I'll send you my pictures. Mataji maaf karo. What I'm supposed to say? So see, answer to this is there. I see. I have. I it's I we I started very early. working with community, and I have met a lot of people, a lot of fabulous people who do have tremendous amount of talent, and they're full of art. They do know what they want to do, what they want to become, but they don't get opportunity. And second thing, all these people, may it be casting directors and producers and all of these, they do have, they come with this picture in their mind that this is what we are looking for, and a lot of time it is a very ugly,
Mhm.
you know creation of their, and this is how they portray. And talking about the earlier thing, I when I say a lot of people consume their knowledge and information from all these things only. So a lot of people who have never met a transgender person, if this person have watched this film Gangubai, then this person have show understanding that any transgender person, they're gonna meet is going to be someone so evil and so villainish and so ugly. So this is how they have been doing. And film fraternity, in my case, especially for the last color, I think I was very lucky. The whole crew was very friendly and we bonded, we made friends. But most of the time, even these places are not very trans friendly. You don't feel welcome by saying you're being professional. Even trans artists get intimidated because they are not used to these places. They have not gone to any acting school. They have not gone to regular school. They have not gone to any works spaces. So when they invite or they cast any trans person, and then when they start working with them, I think a lot of thing goes wrong. So I think for community, we have to see this way, that we cannot do their good only by giving them a sewing machine or teaching them how to tailor or do makeup. There are a lot of other things where we have to work. If somebody wants to be an artist, why can't we give this person a platform where this person can go and learn and be more confident? Because a lot of time these producers and directors and are with the set mind that this is what we need, and sometimes even community fail because they don't get such
Mm.
confidence.
Yeah. I completely agree that the kind of mm, stigmatization that we face, and also the parents who go to such an extent to harm their children mm, to not for them to not transition. I think culture and art plays a huge role in it. I think even more than the policy, because the policy wants to control the culture and art for a reason, right? So because I think culture and art is so hugely, because if you see our religion is, I mean, I'm talking about the majority religion in India, but there are multiple religion in India. But the majority religion that that exists in India, there are enough trans gods there, and also the education. Not everyone is educated equally, but most people are transphobic equally in India. So I think what is a common factor I see is the art and culture. I think that does play a- quite a lot of role in stigmatizing us and making us look so, mm, yeah, villainous and bad.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
so. In the same line, there are these days. Everyone is woke, right? Everyone wants to be woke. I don't know. We've been woken. We have woken long back, but these days people want to wake up and they have woke. So Alia Bhatt said that the casting for Alia Gangubai was not her responsibility. Do you think it makes sense for a star of her stature to say that, or does she bear any responsibility because the sheer power she has in an industry, because she's a superstar, right? She
Hmm.
can ask force directors in a movie that she's uh, part of, and she has a say. She's not a abla nari. So what do
Hmm.
you feel for someone like that?
So I think these all people, I mean, not the, I mean, especially not speaking about the Alia, but I think a lot of people are very opportunistic and they just want to, and they can be very diplomatic in sense of when there is any situation, occasion, or anything where they feel that they have to be, community friendly, then they become. Otherwise, I think they have no interest. They have, you know, no emotions, and as well as when it comes to work, I don't know whether they themselves feel this, they do have this phobia within them. Because of that, they don't want to, you know, do this. Because if I share my this experience from the last color, the day when I landed in Banaras, uh, I went to this set. It wasn't my shoot, but they were supposed to take my measurement for the my costume. So I went there, and that this was my first interaction with the whole crew, and they were also meeting me for the first time. But they were informed earlier that a transgender person is coming for the Anarkali character. So I went there. They did my measurement, and then I started talking. Then things were a little easing up. Then later, after 3 hours, this woman who's a very amazing person and a good friend of mine now, she said we all were so scared, thinking that who this transgender person is going to come, and I don't know what tantrum she'll do, and what scene this person will create. But you are, and she exactly said this way, and you are so normal.
Okay.
And now whenever I talk, and she shared in between, Rudrani, we don't get time to meet so often, but whenever I meet somebody at a traffic signal, or wherever, so I roll down my with karting, and I talk to them, and I tell, I do have a friend called Rudrani, she's from your community. I say, amazing. So see, this is what the tragedy is. People have learned so much, which make them this uh, transphobic. And if they are, you know if there are shared information, and there are this communication gap, that we is taken away, I think we can do a lot of things, especially the college and this new youth. I think they are so willing to learn about transgender community. I often get invited to different college universities, and the places where the younger ones are there, and they are so happy to learn.
It's really nice. Thank you so much, Rudrani, for answering all our questions. I do not see we have any viewer questions. As let me just have a look. Um, yeah, we do not have any viewer questions as such, but it was amazing talking to you. And yeah, it was really enlightening for me because uh, Garima Greh is something new that I have not heard of. I've not been there, so I think it was really enlightening. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, and this lovely talk. And whenever you get time, I don't know when you're planning to come India, but whenever you come, please do visit Garima Greh. Everybody will be very happy to meet you. And Jamal should also visit sometime.
Yeah, he should. I did watch half of Last Color in a flight,
Uh-huh.
but then the flight ended, so I have to watch it full. So I
Oh,
have to.
you have to watch it for me now.
Yeah, I will. I will. Thank you very much.
Great. Lovely talking to you. Good night, all.